It was amazing. It was incredible. Every part of it, phenomenal. People are like, oh, it's a once in a lifetime trip. And I'm like, not for us. Like, hello, my holistic soul sisters. Happy 2024. Happy New Year. I cannot believe that I am back from Africa. And I'm so excited to do this podcast episode to kick off the new year, to just kind of share a little bit about our trip and our travels and our experience and what I learned and how I grew through all of that. And also to share a little bit about what's coming up in 2024 for our community. So I've missed you all. I was so excited to get back, like I said, and just kind of share everything. I am doing this episode on Holistic Soul Sister Radio. So if you're listening on any of the podcast platforms, hello. And if you're watching this on YouTube, the video version, I'll insert a couple clips and pictures and stuff from our trip. So if you're watching the podcast episode, you can head over to YouTube and also watch it over there, just Holistic Soul Sister TV. So I'll insert a couple of those, but also know that Sasha and I are kind of working on putting together a longer format video of all the 30 days. We're going to put it up on YouTube, and it's going to have more of like the GoPro content, the Insta 360, like just so much more. And that'll be more of like an itinerary where we went. So if you're curious and you want to go to Africa, we will totally help you plan the most epic trip as well. So it's nice to be back. It took some time for me to reintegrate. If you're watching the video version, I am wearing my safari outfit. Like, I can't seem to let go of the Africa aesthetic, all the greens and the beiges and all the earth tones. Like, it was such a vibe. I've loved kind of changing my wardrobe. I had to do a lot of shopping and planning to go to these safaris. I usually wear like a lot of bright pinks and whites and colors that you can't wear out in the bush. So I've been really loving kind of switching up my wardrobe and figuring out this new identity of who I am. So I thought it'd be appropriate to wear a safari outfit for this video. So like I said, coming home was such a like culture shock. It always takes me a little while to integrate and get back into my routines. Of course, after not working for so long, the time change and just like being in a different like energetic grid, being in the United States is a different energetic field than it is in Africa. The culture, the climate, and even just like Earth's frequencies, right? So it's definitely been a little challenging coming back home, but I just wanted to share a little bit about the trip. And some lessons I learned by traveling. Every time I go home to Europe, it's, I know it. I love getting into the European culture, the cafes, the slow lifestyle, the mindset of spending time with family and friends versus hustling. So going to another country like Africa, which we'd never been to, we were so open to kind of just blending in with whatever the culture that was. So that's always a learning experience. So, I'm going to answer some questions that people ask me about the trip. Kind of just share a little bit if you're curious about Africa. Now, before the trip, I was very nervous because my health just like wasn't where I would want it to be, to go so far away from home and to also be in an environment where I didn't know what the food would be like or, what was offered as far as medical care. So I was such a nervous wreck. Like, we went because this has been a trip of Sasha's dreams. He turned 40. This is somewhere he's wanted to go. So, follow him to the end of the earth. And I was like, fine, we'll go. But when we first met and he talked a lot about Africa and going on safari, I, was like, nah, he can do that with someone else. He can go with a friend. Like, I don't need to do that. But then, when he started talking about it last year, I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to Africa. So I went in with a lot of hesitation, a lot of trepidation, a lot of just fear, honestly, fear. I was very nervous, but I wanted to be excited for him. So I don't know if you caught any of my stories on Instagram. I saved it on my personal account. There's like 2 highlight reels of Africa. And in one of those Instagram stories, I show like this huge bag of supplements that I brought with. If you're watching the video version, I'll insert that clip here. But I brought this huge bag of all these supplements. I brought different tinctures, all my remedies. I always travel with those. I'm going to be doing a separate YouTube and podcast episode on my travel hacks, like what supplements I bring with, different ways for me to make sure I stay healthy and vibrant on these longer trips that we go on. So I'll give you more details, but that's kind of my security blanket. And I'm so glad I brought them, because being away for a month, a lot of different little things can come up. And I actually did get sick on the trip, which was such a bummer. But it wasn't that bad. Like, if you would have told me before we went to Africa that I was going to have a fever and I was going to be sick, I would be like, no, I'm not going. But when it was actually happening, I wasn't afraid. Even though we were like in the most remote part of the Kruger National Park, it was like an hour and a half from our safari camp to the gate and over 100 miles to the nearest hospital. But for some reason, I just trusted all the remedies I brought. I trusted my body's healing. I knew I needed the rest. They sent in like the medical team for the safari, area. And he was great and wonderful. And I recovered within 2 days. But again, I really think that to my supplements and all the tools and resources I brought with. So other than that little hiccup in the trip, everything else was amazing. When you travel really far on 10 flights, 8 hotels, every different, itinerary possible. We went from hiking in the mountains in Cape Town to the wine country and wine tasting, to traveling to a huge inner city, to traveling to a remote location where the safaris were and the animals, to another, 5.5 hour flight to a beach and an island in the middle of nowhere and being in like a hot, humid, tropical environment. There was different temperatures, at the safari camps, it was more hot and dry. During our travels to Cape Town on the coast, it's like Antarctica is not far away, so the water's really cold. So there's just so many different variables. And considering there was so many variables, everything went so smoothly, so effortlessly. And I think a lot of that has to do with like God, like God planned this, God had it laid out for us. We set intentions at the beginning of the trip, and, mine was to trust that everything is happening the way it's supposed to. So even if there's hiccups or delays or things don't work out, like it's meant to be that way. And that was really the energy I started embracing. And so it was absolutely amazing, absolutely incredible. Before I kind of go more into like the details of the trip, I just have to like say first and foremost, like Africa has stolen my heart. I don't care about going anywhere else in the world. I would go back there over and over and over and over again, to the point that, there may be an opportunity in our future to, live there at some point. We just loved it that much. And it's not just about seeing animals. Like, it's incredible. I think we all love animals sometimes more than people. But it's like the culture and the environment and the way people live. It's very slow, take it as it comes, no stress. There's no this hustle bustle. People are very happy. They're very grateful. All the locals that we met, even when they came from a very like poor village or didn't have a lot, they were so happy. Like, I don't think I met a single South African that wasn't kind, happy, positive, helpful, welcoming, gentle. Like, even when we came back from Mauritius and we went through customs, we didn't really know like what line to be in. And we were the first ones off the plane, being in business class. And so we were like kind of staring around, and then we just like picked a line and went up to the South African gentleman and we're like, we're not sure where we're supposed to be. And he's like, oh, no worries. Like, come on over. Like, let's, figure it out for you. And like, it was like easy peasy in and out. Everyone was so chill. So I love that. And it was so welcoming. And also, for instance, we had a gentleman who picked us up to transport us from one safari camp to the other. And, he educated us a lot on the villages and how they live and the lifestyle and the education system and the poverty and how hard it is for them to have opportunities. And it was just like humbling, super humbling to see how these people live, and they find connection and tribe with each other. It's just insane. And the last transport we had to the airport, the guy picked us up and we're like, how are you? And he's like, I'm great. And we're like, oh, that's good. And he's like, I'm always great. And we're like, always great? I don't know if you can always be great. And he's like, no, I am. I'm always great. And we were like, okay. And he's like, well, I just hope it's a long time before I'm not great again. And that just like hit me. It just resonated with me. I was like, damn, like what a way to live in the present moment. Like today is great. to, even if it's not perfect, it's still great. And I hope it's a long time before it's not great again. And it will always be great if you keep the mindset, even through the hardest obstacles. So it was just so humbling and so beautiful. So yeah, just absolutely amazing. I go back over and over again. I can't wait till we go back. Now, a little bit about the itinerary. We left Tampa, flew through London, had a very long layover. It's an overnight flight from Tampa out to London. And then the next flight from London out to South Africa is also a night flight. So you kind of have to like wait all day to get on the next night flight. But luckily, we were in the upper class, first class cabin. So we got access to the lounge. We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the lounge. Absolutely amazing. And then the second flight was 12 hours. So first 10 hours and then a 12-hour flight, and landed in Cape Town early in the morning. So that was challenging. You're on a different time zone. You've been traveling for 2 days now, and you're there at like 8 a.m. And all you want to do is like go lay down and go to sleep. But we budgeted in that first day to kind of be like a rest day, a chill day, kind of just be, which was really smart on Sasha's behalf. Now, mind you, he did all the planning. Like this was his trip. He did all the planning. I gave my 2 cents on a couple things. I just literally pack my suitcase and go with the flow. I'm open to anything. I'm a free spirit. Like I trust that he knows best. He does hours and hours and hours of research. Like we didn't use a travel agent. Like he is the travel agent. So, so smart that the first day was a chill day. So mind you, we did rent a car. So that was, super convenient. But the first day, we just needed to get some food. I was like, let's just take a nap. Then we'll go get some food. We'll go for a walk, move our bodies, and then pass out and like sleep the whole night. And then we'll be good to go the next day. So the first day, we didn't really know where to eat. And we also didn't like understand fully like the cost of things. So we picked this like, I don't know, it was like a really fancy restaurant, but they were like having kind of like a happy hour vibe. And it's like a Thursday at 3:00, and there's like a DJ setting up this beautiful bar area. Like people are dressed up, hanging out at like 3, 4 in the afternoon on a Thursday. And we're like, okay, people not work here. Like, I don't know. Anyways, we order a steak for Sasha, risotto for me, 2 cocktails for me, and he got a beer. And guess what the bill was? Steak, risotto, 2 cocktails, and a beer. $25. And like, it was like a whole vibe, DJs, and like, it was so cutesy. And I was like, $25. And it turns out it was like BOGO on the cocktails. So like, okay, whatever. Maybe it would have been $30. So cocktails like $5. I think I got mojitos or something. Beer was like 2. The steak was like 7 or 8. And the risotto was like 7. So wild, right? So that was really exciting to see. And your money goes so far over there. Like the US dollar right now is really strong. So, I mean, for us, it was like you can live like a king or a queen. We were able to like go to Michelin star restaurants, have 10-course pairing menus with all the cocktails we wanted. And it would be like $130 per person. But I mean, if you're going to a Michelin restaurant, you're usually paying like way over that. So absolutely incredible. Cape Town is such a hip and young and vibrant city. Amazing restaurants, amazing activities, hiking, mountains, beaches. That's where we went to the Penguin Beach. I'll insert a photo here if you're watching it on YouTube. It's called Boulders Beach. On Netflix, there's a documentary called Penguin Town. Watch it. It is so freaking cute, but it's about these African penguins that are endangered, and they come to this beach every year to mate in South Africa, called Boulders Beach. And because they're endangered, they just get to like live amongst the residents. So you can like go to this beach and like suntan and swim, and there's just like penguins everywhere. It was like a dream. I never wanted to leave that beach. But the docuseries on Netflix kind of takes the stories of these penguins and gives them like characters and storylines, and like, it's so cute. You have to watch it. So Cape Town was epic. We did Tabletop Mountain, took the cable car up to the top. Like, it was so cool. So love Cape Town. I can totally rent like an Airbnb and live there for 3 months and just like experience it all. We thought 4 days would be enough there, but we didn't even get a chance to go out to Robbins Island, which is kind of like Alcatraz in San Francisco, where there was like a prison off the coast of this city. And that is where Nelson Mandela was captivated, and imprisoned. And they have tours there still. And some of the inmates from this prison are doing the tours now. So they were there during his time there. So absolutely crazy and incredible. We didn't get to do that. You can go shark diving, helicopter tours, like so many things we didn't get to do, but we'll be back. We know it now. From there, we did 2 days in the wine country. Blows Napa out of the park. Like Napa is sad compared to the wine country in South Africa. They make their own version of champagne because champagne can only come from Champagne, France. So they call it MCC. Absolutely delicious, absolutely lovely. The first day we did a wine tram, hop on, hop off, went to like really cool different vineyards and wineries. We did like the private tastings. So you could do like a Lindt chocolate pairing, a cheese platter pairing, oyster pairing, charcuterie board pairings, like so cool to do that. And way cheaper. You go to Napa and like there's no scenery. The estates are so far apart. And then you're paying like $20, $25 a tasting. Here you are like in the mountains staring at the most lush, beautiful greenery. And the tastings are like $7, $8 a piece if you're doing like the experience ones. If you're just doing like the plain, like just the tasting, you're paying like maybe $4 or $5 for 5 or 6 wines. So much more affordable and so much more welcoming. Like Napa, I feel is like hoity-toity, and here it's like people were wearing safari clothes because a lot of people that travel to South Africa to do safaris and then go to like the other cities, like they're traveling on like a carry-on in a backpack, so like they're just wearing whatever and nobody cared. So chill. The second day there, we ended up renting a tuk-tuk. Like this guy picked us up in this little like motorized tuk-tuk and drove us around wherever we wanted to go. So we ended up going to Mont Rochelle, which is Sir Richard Branson's vineyard. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, they have a hotel there and everything. And then we went to Hoedspruit, which is an MCC house, like a champagne house. We did a cellar tour. We did the sabering. I'll insert a picture here, like the sabering of the bottle with the sword. Such a cool experience. The little boutique hotel that we stayed at was rated #1 like years and years in a row. I took a picture of all the plaques. You can see it here. And we got like the honeymoon suite, which had like a wood fire hot tub. Like you had to like make a fire and then the fire would like heat the hot tub, and we had our own pool, and it was such a vibe. I wish we could have stayed there for another 5 days. Like that was the trend in Cape Town. We're like, I wish we had 2 more days. We went to the wine country. We're like, I wish we would have had like 3 more days. Then we flew from there up to the safari parks, and that was like a whole experience in the northern part of South Africa, which borders like Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Nairobi, all of that is the Kruger National Park. And that's where you go to the safari camps. And what an experience. Like you are so remote. The nearest hospital is like 100 miles away. You like are deep, deep, deep in this park in your safari lodge. At night, you can't walk around like because the animals. So someone has to like take you from like the main lodge to your room. And essentially what it looks like when you go on safari is you wake up in the morning, you get like a wake up call at 5 a.m. They tell you have about 15 minutes to get ready and report to the lodge. You get to the lodge, they have tea and coffee and some snacks like breakfasty things set up for you. And then at 5:30, you get on your first game drive. And it's about 3 hours long, and you just drive around the park. And you have a tracker and a guide. So your guide's like the driver, and he's explaining things to you. And the tracker sits on the front of the car, who like knows the animals, tracks the animals. Like that is his expertise. So they're looking for footprints. And the thing that you start realizing is like they do this all day, every day. And they know the animals. Like it's like they're friends. Like they know where their dens are. They know where they, mate. They know their patterns and their behaviors. And like they know where these animals are going to be. So really, really cool to see their relationship to nature and the understanding of the ecosystem. And like, we got to learn so much. And one of the things I asked our guide and our tracker is, how can we as like a human who lives so far away from this beautiful country, and I'm just one person, help the conservation of this part of the world, like these animals, and making sure that this is like around for many, many years to come. Is it donating through charities? Is it, like what can I do? And they literally said, come visit, like be a tourist, show the beauty of these animals. Because without tourists coming to want to look at the elephants and the giraffes and stuff, they just end up becoming like the food of the natives. Just like we have deer in North America that people hunt and eat. Just like we have wild boar that people hunt and eat, like people hunt and eat the animals of their land, which end up being like zebras and, things like that. And so when people come and find them amazing and inspiring, there's a lot more conservation and protection of these parks because of the tourism and the hospitality dollars that can come in. So I was like, done and done, I'll be back. But really interesting to learn about that in their ecosystem. So yeah, during your 3-hour morning game drive, halfway through, they'll stop the car and you get out. Yeah, like just out in the middle of the park. Like there's hippos in the water and like other animals nearby. And they're like, just stay near the vehicle. Okay. Like don't wander off, stay near the vehicle. But they set up like a full bar with like Kahlua and a marula, which is like their local, coffee, additive, like liqueur. And yeah, you get to have like a sunriser and have tea and coffee and snacks and stuff and chit chat and get back in for another hour and a half. You finish off your game drive, go back to the lodge, have a full breakfast. They really just feed you. Like all you do is eat and drink. And then you can go back to your room and take a nap. You can go to the spa. You can just hang out at the lodge. You can go to the pool, like whatever you want to do. Go to lunch, around 1 or 2. And then you have a couple more hours, and then you report back at about 4 p.m. for afternoon tea, which was really cool. More cookies and cakes and desserts and treats and tea and coffee. And then you go out on your evening game drive, which is another 3 hours in the evening, where the animals are becoming more active. It's going into sunset, so it's becoming cooler. And, again, in that 3 hours, halfway through, you have a sundowner where you get out of the truck. They set up a full bar for you to have whatever cocktails and drinks that you want and snacks. And when you get back at like 8 p.m. after the sun has set, you have a huge dinner at the lodge. And then by that time, it's like 10 o'clock at night and you're so exhausted and you just want to go to bed. And you do it all over again the next day with your 5 a.m. wake up call. So we did that 3 days at the first lodge, and then we moved to a different lodge in a different part of the Kruger National Park. There's like private game reserves. And we did that because they say, the animals can roam free. So if the lions are in one section and they migrate to a different section where there's like more food, they may not come back for a couple of weeks. So to go to 2 different lodges, you can see like the most amount of animals. We saw all the animals we wanted to see, like pretty much at the first lodge and the rest at the second. Lions, cheetahs, leopards, buffalo, giraffes, zebras, warthogs, and impalas, like so many animals we didn't even know existed. Just spent hours and hours, 6 hours a day. You're just out there in the wilderness, just staring at the animals. And you don't really have any Wi-Fi, not good cell service. Like it was the most nervous system resetting experience. Like you're just wind in your hair, in the elements, staring at nature. It's calm, it's quiet, it's peaceful. It was so good for my health. Like you just want to live out there. And the animals are they teach you so much just by watching them and how gentle they are or how they hunt or their strength or like there's not even enough words, to put the whole experience into one podcast. But yeah, so the second lodge was just as amazing. It was over Christmas. They pampered us. They treated us like family. They were so good with my food sensitivities, made me gluten-free and egg-free bread and scones and cookies. They have to make everything from scratch because you're so remote and so far away from humanity. So it was just incredible. We loved it. I will go back on safari again over and over again. So if you're interested and curious, come with us. Maybe I'll do like a retreat or something, like a wellness retreat in the future. But yeah, it was such a cool experience. And then from there, we flew back to the big city, Johannesburg, which is the capital. Big city, kind of dangerous. We didn't really do a whole lot there. We just stayed at our hotel. We stayed at the Saxon Hotel, which is where Nelson Mandela lived for 6 months when he wrote his autobiography. So much history there. We got to see all these photos of the wall of like, the Clintons and Oprah and all these celebrities like visiting. So it was really, really cool. We didn't leave. It was rainy. It was dreary. So we stayed at the spa, stayed in the room service for breakfast and dinner. It was like exactly what we needed. And then from there, we flew out to Mauritius, which was such a cool experience. Mauritius is an island in the Indian Ocean. It was about a 5-hour flight and such a cool place. Very close to the Maldives. So the water is just like that crystal clear blue, tropical, lush, humid. The hotel was such a vibe. We did the all-inclusive package so we could just like eat and drink to our heart's content. It was amazing. And that's actually where we decided to swim with dolphins. So it was this excursion that we got to do. And, you know, you think swim with dolphins, you think just kind of like, you know, something cheesy, like you're just kind of swimming like around by them or whatever. No, this was like a whole, like legit swim with the dolphins. So essentially, this pod of dolphins, 20 or 30 dolphins, is like coming in this direction. The boat pulls in front of them. And then you just jump in with these huge flippers on, like they're massive, in your snorkel gear. And you just start swimming in the direction that the dolphins are going as fast as you possibly can. And before you know it, they're all around you. Like they're jumping around you, they're under you, like they're everywhere. And you're like in the pod with them. And you just keep flippering as hard as you possibly can to keep up with them. And eventually they'll overtake you and like keep on going and leave you in the dust. But you're like, holy F, like that just happened. Such a wild experience. I wasn't even going to do it. Sasha did it 2 or 3 times. And then the third time, the gentleman who was like operating the tour boat was like, you're coming in. Like, I'll hold your hand. And mind you, I'd never put on a snorkel mask before. One time in Key West, I tried to snorkel in the shallow end by our hotel. And essentially, I just like put my face underwater to practice. And I got stung by a jellyfish. So I don't know how to wear a snorkel mask or anything, but I did it. It was amazing. I'm so glad I overcame that fear. Something just took over and I just went for it and everything was good. We ended up seeing whales after that and then went swimming in a reef. And it was so crazy, you know, in my past life with aquariums and everything, to see these fish out in the wild, like the yellow tangs, the blue tangs, like all these tropical fish just like right in front of you, swimming everywhere around these coral reefs. But the sad part about it was these reefs had no like coral, like it was bleached out. It was sad. It was really sad. And I've learned so much through documentaries about like bleaching of the corals and the rising water temperatures are like killing the vegetation. And to see it in real life was really, really sad. So I'm glad we had this opportunity to swim in the reefs in the Indian Ocean because I just don't believe they're going to be there much longer. So really, really grateful for that. And it also made us realize that like if there's places we want to travel to, like we need to go now because a lot of places get overrun by tourism. Like I think to Iceland, I wanted to go to Iceland for 10 years and now there's so much tourism and it's like built up and it just like isn't the vibrant, raw, authentic experience that it used to be. And I feel like Africa is kind of like on that fence where for the past 10 years, you know, a lot of these safari lodges didn't exist. They were just like tented camps or walking safaris. And now they've become so popular where they're more like luxurious and they're building new ones and people are traveling there more. And that's great and amazing for their country and bringing in, you know, money. But it's just not going to be the raw, authentic experience forever. So you know, this is like my shout out to you. If you want to travel, like do it, don't wait because a lot of places are going to be changing. So yeah, Mauritius was beautiful. The other cool thing about that island is there was so many different cultures, ethnicities, languages, religions that all exist on this super tiny island. Like so tiny, you drive from one half to the other in about an hour, hour and a half. Like it's small. And you had Hindus, Christians, Muslims, like all different religions because a lot of people came from Europe, a lot of people came from India, a lot of people came from the Middle East, like, and all live on one island cohesively. And the culture there is so beautiful and so magnificent. So, how cool was that to see? So we loved it there. Then we flew back to the main capital, Johannesburg, and then went back to the safari camp. So we like retraced our whole steps and went back up to the Kruger National Park area, which we ended up staying with our neighbors the last 6 days of the trip. We were so blessed and so fortunate that our neighbors here in Florida across the street have been living near the Kruger National Park. They have a second home there for many years. And this past year decided to build a new home in this private game reserve. So it's kind of like a gated community, like an HOA community, but it's in a piece of the Kruger National Park area. So it's private, but the animals can like kind of come and go whenever they please. And what an experience, like to see their home, to see the beauty of it. And like it's in the middle of this park. So you like come in through the gate, like it'd be like going into Yosemite, you know, you come in through the main guard gate and then you have to drive 15, 20 minutes to get to their house. And the whole time you're like, oh, there's a giraffe traffic, got to stop and wait. Oh, here come the elephants. Like, let's stop and wait. And you see like other neighbors that are like trying to go into town and they're like, you know, parked on the side of the road watching like a cheetah who just like killed an impala. Like, it's so wild. And that's where we posted the photos on social media where we were like sitting by the pool and all of a sudden like a giraffe comes peeking through the tree line, staring at us while we're like having our morning coffee. So wild. One night too, the last night we were there, it was like 1:30 in the morning. I'll never forget it. 1:30 in the morning, and all of a sudden I hear this like a loud roar. And I look at Sasha and I go, lion. And he goes, no, elephant. And there had been like a herd of elephants that were passing by the house, and it sounded like a freight train, like just super loud rumbles. And yeah, they were just like passing by. And they're very destructive. They didn't do any damage to our neighbor's house because they have this huge electric fence around it. But the neighbors next door that are like, it's a couple acres away, the elephants stopped by their house, uprooted a tree, knocked over potted plants. There's like camera footage from their backyard of this baby elephant knocking their pool heater off into the pool. So, I mean, you're living in their space. So it was kind of wild. Even when we went out to the car, pulled out of the driveway, like out of the garage into the driveway, you had to like make sure there's no lions walking by, like so surreal. And it's such a crazy opportunity, to know that like that's an option and a place that you could live. The pricing, like I said, just was really inexpensive, pretty wild. Like we would go out to dinners, and for a group of 4, buying appetizers and entrees and drinks and dessert, it'd be like $130 with tip for 4 people. So affordable. And so like really my message to anyone is, if you are not spending your vacation time in another country as a US citizen, you're wasting your money because it's so expensive. People go to Disney World, people go, within the US, even Mexico. You're paying so much money in that 1 week. And yeah, it's expensive to fly to Europe. It's expensive to fly to South Africa. You can find discounted flights, like no doubt you can find it. But once you're there, it's so affordable, so affordable. So it was phenomenal, absolutely epic. I don't even think I could say enough about it. Some of the other things I really kind of learned were more like about myself and like slowing down, having patience. You go to dinner and it's like 40 minutes between ordering and your meal coming. And I would be like anxious and like so annoyed. And Sasha's like, do you have somewhere better to be? Like, you're literally staring at the ocean right now, relaxing. Do you have anything better to do? And so what I ended up doing is I started bringing a book with me, and it's like, how amazing, you're sitting there like having breakfast, sipping tea, and reading a really good book. I ended up reading 3 books on this trip, which was so nice. Like, I miss reading so much. And it's helped me now realize for 2024, like less scrolling, less Netflix, more reading. I want to get back into like diving into books. It calms my nervous system. It helps me escape. It helps me sleep. Like, it was so wonderful to remind myself how much I love reading. Relationship wise, it was like so incredibly amazing. We don't get a lot of time together because I have 3 businesses I'm running. He plays pickleball, like he has his own hobbies. We're just, we have different schedules. I'm a night owl. He likes to get up in the morning. So although we live in the same household, we don't get a lot of time to do things together. And even though we, have time on weekends to go on date nights, we don't really find joy and fulfillment in going on dates, in Tampa or, here, because you're spending so much money for food that's not that great. We know because we've traveled elsewhere, and experiences that like, we're not going to go to a bar. Like, we don't drink really unless we're on vacation. There just isn't a lot for us. So why waste our money? We'd rather save it up and go on an epic vacation. So when we're at home, we're kind of just, living life. So when we're on vacation 24/7 together, we really get to connect. We get to have conversations. It's like the most incredible time. And even though it's 30 days with one person, we're both really chill. He lets me read my book and I let him take 5,000 photos of animals and nature. But we do it together, so it was amazing. It was incredible. Every part of it, phenomenal. People are like, oh, it's a once in a lifetime trip. And I'm like, not for us. Like, not for us. It expanded me in so many ways, mindset wise, possibilities, culture, the way I want to live my life. I mean, I could keep talking about it over and over again. So just wanted to share a lot of that with you and kind of more about the details. I'll put together an itinerary if you're curious. We'll be sharing more like content and video in like a longer format if you kind of want to like see more of like the, like I said, GoPro videos and the deeper stuff. So we'll keep sharing it. We'll keep reliving it. It was so epic. And I don't want to get rid of the safari vibe outfits. Like you might see me around town in army green and, leopard pants or whatnot. I'm not letting it go yet. But other than that, I just wanted to just say hi, my holistic soul sisters. So many of you were along in the journey, sent your love, like commented on my stories, like you were so grateful that I shared it all. So thank you for being a part of it with us and going on the adventure with us and supporting me in so many ways. I had so many soul sisters that borrowed me clothes, that gave me treats and sweets, that supported me, emotionally prior to the trip. So if you were one of those people that helped this trip happen and, supported me in any way, thank you. I love you. And what's coming up in 2024? Let's kind of end this episode with talking about what's to come. I think a lot of it I want to share with you all and what I've kind of gathered through all my experience, all my knowledge, everything with health coaching, everything with spirituality, like all this information that I have within me that the world needs to know and how I can serve best is really focusing on living a high vibrational lifestyle. It was something that was so clear to me. I've done the cleanses. We're doing a group cleanse right now. So if you still want to jump in, you're more than welcome to. We don't start the parasite cleanse portion of it, the supplement portion, until mid-February. So you still have time to join us. Cleanses are great. And I do the private coaching. If you need support one-on-one, like I'm always here for you. We can set up something, whether it's a one-time call, healthy power hour, we call them, where I help you hack your health and figure out your next move and what could support you in your health journey. Or if you want to do long-term coaching, we can work out a package. So I'm still going to be offering that, but I'm like, how can I really, really help? How can I help you adjust your lifestyle? Like, how can we make it simple? And that is really this concept of living a high vibrational lifestyle. That's how I can go on these trips for a month and be vibrant and energetic and do all the things and come back feeling amazing, even though I've been drinking and eating sweets. It's like, I have all these tips and tricks that I do. I use energy, sunlight, red light, supplements, all the things that I want to teach you. So I'm going to be doing a mini series on TikTok on the Holistic Soul Sister page, 60 days of living a high vibrational lifestyle, which essentially means every day I'm going to give you a tip, a trick, a hack, a way that you can incorporate into your life to become more high vibrational. So lots more to come on that this year. Also possibly a membership where, you just pay a monthly fee and you get access to all the knowledge, all the videos, all the events, discounts on, retreats, discount on other events, first access to like coaching and products and all sorts of things. But we're still building that out on the back end. We're still working with practitioners. And the membership will have, protocols, supplement recommendations, product recommendations. Like I've done so much research and curating of everything that if you started now to get to where I am, it would take you 20 years like it's taken me. So I want to find a way that I can just like put all this content into one place. Anytime you have questions, maybe you have health things that come up, maybe you need to know what, air purifier to buy or what supplement brands I recommend. Like it's all going to be in one place. So it's a lot of back end stuff, but I'm passionate and determined to make that happen for you. The astrology stuff, I love it. So that YouTube channel is going to keep growing. Relationship astrology content. I'll be doing that. So lots to come. I'm looking forward to 2024. I'm looking forward to just really focusing on my own personal health, getting back into the gym, putting on muscle, like really the last little cherry on top since my mold illness a couple years ago. So I just want to shout out all of you, my holistic soul sisters, for being a part of the tribe, for supporting me, for coming to events. Our 11/11 event, I never got a chance to really talk about it, but it was epic. It was amazing. We had a packed house. It was so great. I mean, just the healing that happened, the transformations, the people that came and had no idea what to expect, and they left with like the biggest epiphanies and awarenesses. Having Mateo, flying from Guatemala. So hopefully we can get him back at least once or twice in 2024 for another Holistic Soul Sister event. And I look forward to putting on more events like that. We'll have a couple conferences, this year I'll be partnering with. Maybe doing a retreat again, here local to Tampa, and possibly putting together a retreat to Europe and maybe in the next year or two to South Africa. So stay tuned for all of that. And yeah, just remember that our Instagram page is our community bulletin board. So any events, product updates, specials, discounts, things that are going on within the community, you're going to find on that page. Our Facebook group, the Holistic Soul Sister private community, is kind of where we can share and ask questions. And I'll be, working on that with other practitioners to give you guys some free education and content. The radio, Holistic Soul Sister Radio, is our podcast, all podcast platforms where you're going to get, all these Taboo Topic Tuesday episodes. It allows me to speak more freely than some of the other social media platforms. So, the podcast's always going to be where we can be raw and real. But many of the podcast episodes this year, I'm going to try to also put on YouTube, or the YouTube channel is going to be more educational, visual. We're going to be able to show you products. And so if you're a visual person, you're going to see it on the TV channel. And then of course, TikTok, where it's going to be fun and quirky and videos. And I'll be showing up more than I do in my stories right now on my personal page. So I'll be shifting from the personal Mandy Rose Instagram account to the TikTok channel. So much going on. I want to know, what are your goals? What are you working on this year? What big leap are you trying to take? Please share with me. I love to encourage and connect and support my sisters in any way. So if there's any way that you'd like to collab, any way that you'd like to share your gift or talent with our community, please reach out to me. It's what we're here for. So I look forward to seeing you at an event, connecting with you on social media, supporting you in any way. So reach out, let me know how I can do any of that. And I send you guys so much love and light. And I'll be back next week with an episode talking all about the high vibrational lifestyle, how we're going to do that, how we're going to commit to that together as sisters, and diving a little bit more into that. So sending you guys so much love and light. And don't forget, until we chat again, keep healing holistically and growing spiritually. Bye, sis.